Welcome to Farewell, Mr. Nice Guy. I am your host, MNG. And today, what I have for you, I have a Reddit read. I found an interesting post that I think, I even think, I believe that there are a lot of men that actually go through this where they feel like they don't have the required teachings of how to be a man or something along those lines. And I came across this post, and we're just going to go ahead and just get into it. So the title of the post is Non-Replication of Father Wound. Now, this is a little heartbreaking. And the reason why I'm going to say that is because this guy's in his 20s, and he already got multiple kids. He says sons. That is plural, okay? I hope it's with the same woman. And I don't even know where at in this person is in his 20s, whether it's in his early 20s or in his late 20s. But he had multiple kids, so he had sons. So we're gonna say he got like 2, maybe 3 sons at the most. Okay, so he already got enough going on as it is. But he want to teach his kids or his sons, the skills that they would need in order to be efficient or self-sustaining in the future, which I understand. Now, if we just go, let's just break it down. So we got a young man that's in his 20s, says never really got much of a shot in life due to family circumstances. Now, what are these family circumstances? Because when we talk about family circumstances, either the father wasn't there or the father was there and the father died. There's a lot that can be drawn from that so far as the missed opportunities that this person is talking about. I kind of want to stop there because when we talk about family circumstances, it could be a little bit of anything. Maybe his father was there, maybe he died. Maybe he was taken away from his parents. Maybe he get put up for adoption. Maybe he was adopted by his grandmother and the grandfather wasn't there. Or maybe the grandfather was just an asshole. Or maybe the father was an asshole and didn't teach him all the things that he needed to learn. But it does say that he's trying to heal from his open father wound. Now from that is a lack of information, because what is the open father wound? So it could be something detrimental that the father did. He could have went to go get some cigarettes. Could have went to go get some milk and just never came back. You heard the stories. I'm going to get some milk. I'm going to return. Never come back. So it's kind of hard to kind of figure out or determine like what this person is actually lacking and what they're trying to gain and what was actually missed out in the family dynamic. Now they have kids, so obviously they're in the family dynamic. I don't know if there is a baby mama, baby daddy situation, or if this guy's married or whatever the case is. But obviously family circumstances play the factor in being raised without a father figure or a father that's there. And I wonder if this cat was a hothead and he had father figures, but he just didn't listen, or he just didn't care enough because of that. Because at some point in time down the line, and I'm sure a lot of people can vouch for this, you normally run into 1 or 2 people, sometimes multiple, like maybe 5, 6, 7, but sometimes you run into like 1 or 2 people that actually has some kind of benefit for you. And they kind of take you up under their wing and they have some conversations with you and they kind of get some ideas on what you're trying to do, where you're trying to go, the whole 9 yards. So the fact that this person is in a situation that had a family situation or family circumstance that prevented him, or whatever the case is, from not gaining the skills that he believed he would attain from having a father, it's kind of hit or miss. I would think that at least one person probably saw some potential in you, or at least try to talk to you and take you under the wing, unless you was just completely difficult and it was kind of hard for you to kind of accept that type of father figure into your life because of your circumstances. Now, you want to say the lack of opportunity. Now, the lack of opportunity normally comes from your environment. Lack of opportunity normally comes from where you went to school. Lack of opportunity normally comes from your parents or parent stopping you from excelling and achieving. So a lot of those things so far as a lack of opportunity, because this person is only in their 20s. Okay, whether in their early 20s or their late 20s, they're only in their 20s. And we're saying that there was a lack of opportunity to learn these things that I guess he felt would make him a great father, that would make him a man. So what are these lack of opportunities? What did you not get the chance to do? What did not happen? Because in order to say there was a lack of opportunity, it had to be opportunities that just wasn't present. So you telling me you went to school and there wasn't opportunity to take a class to learn how to wood shop? I had a wood shop class. Didn't nobody teach me, so far as the father figure, how to do wood shop, but we had a wood shop class at school, and I was able to take wood shop and kind of know my way around a wood shop if I was ever being one. Now I have father figures that show me how to change the oil on a car, change a tire. I had those them people in my circle and in my life to show me the various things that I needed to know. But then we're also in the age of technology, so the fact that this post even exists lets me know that there's no YouTube that you can access for this information. YouTube has it all. Google has it all. They have all this information that is out there that is pretty much at your fingertips. So when we talk about lack of opportunity, I don't think that the lack of opportunity is from what you was exposed to or what you had in your available area. So unless you lived in like a real rural area, I can't see how much lack of opportunity you could have unless you just live in an outback somewhere. I'm not sure I can agree 100% to say, hey, there's a lack of opportunity. I need more information for a lack of opportunity, because that's not enough to give a response to say, you know what, you had a lack of opportunity. I can understand why you're seeking this information. But it's hard to kind of discern that there's a lack of opportunity. What's your environment? What's your situation? What's going on in your neighborhood? How, when you were growing up, were you in school when you were growing up? Did your school not have those available resources? Was there any gyms nearby? Was there any recreational centers nearby? Was there any parks nearby? What was your friends doing? Did your friends have parents? So when we talk about lack of opportunity, it's kind of difficult to sit here and say there's a lack of opportunity without more information, okay? And then the healing from the open father wound. I can't even gather what that means. What is the open father wound? What was so bad that happened where it left a wound? And then when you want to teach yourself all these skills that you missed out on, like handling firearms, martial arts, karate, I can tell you right now, there was no martial arts with me growing up. There wasn't any martial art. Like either you knew how to fight or you learned how to fight. And sometimes when you learn how to fight, you learn how to fight in the trenches. That's pretty much the route that we had to take. So far as firearm handling, again, YouTube. I don't know what else to tell you about that. You want to show your kids how to handle a firearm, you can go to classes for all of that. You can go to class and they'll show you how to handle a firearm. They will show you how to do them things. And basically what this post is telling me is that they didn't have any father figures growing up. And that's kind of one of the hardest things. Growing up and knowing that you don't have a father, you don't have father figures, whether it's a stepfather, principal, counselor, school teacher, whatever. You don't have nobody that's looking out for you that say, hey, I'm gonna show you some things. They may not be able to show you everything. They may not even be able to show you a lot of things. But if they just take you to the side and have a conversation with you, sometimes a conversation carries more weight than the actual action sometimes, depending on who it's coming from. Because I've had plenty of conversations with some of my father figures, and they're profound in their information. And some of that still carries with me. I remember conversations from high school they used to have with my counselor. And he was always on my head for 3 years of high school. My counselor was on my head continuously about getting good grades. Nobody else in my household too much was concerned about what my grades looked like. I mean, the report card came in, definitely, and they looked at it, but there really was no make sure you get good grades so you can go to college. College wasn't even talked about when I was in high school. I decided to just go to college on my own accord, but college wasn't a conversation There was no sit down and, hey, let's go and look at some colleges. There was none of that. I can tell you, as a father, in trying to teach your sons like how to handle firearms and martial arts and everything, there's only so much a parent can do so far as what you can teach. A lot of that stuff comes from people or professionals that already do it. Okay, now learning how to handle a firearm, you can't take them at 5 years old to the gun range and show them how to handle a firearm. Depending on how much area you have around your house, you can do it in your backyard. And depending on what state you're in, plus you gotta be safe. Very, very safe. Maybe start out with like a pellet gun or something. Get them working with their aim. The other thing is, you can show them how to work on cars. You can show them how to handle firearms. Now, you can show them a lot of different things. How to build a desk if you got the wood shop, or how to replace an engine if you know how to replace an engine. A lot of it is just through experience, and some of it is just gaining knowledge together. You can utilize this as a teaching moment for the both of y'all, or for you and all your sons. You could have this as a teaching moment, and y'all can learn together. So far as not handling the firearm, not that part, but y'all can learn martial arts together. Y'all can learn how to build a car together. Those little experiences are great. Like, there was one day, my car had got a flat, and fortunately it was in the backyard, but it had got a flat, and my son wanted to drive. So I was like, well, you gotta learn how to change a tire. Now, he wasn't too fond of getting on the ground, but because sometimes he's a little pretty boy sometimes. But I'm like, you don't have to get on the ground, okay? You got to get under there. You got to place the jack in a right spot on the car, because we already know if it's not in the right spot on the car, it's not going to work, right? Then you got to jack it up. Now, you can't jack it up too high. You probably just want to just get it off the ground a little bit. Not even get it off the ground all the way, but just get it up enough. Give you a little angle on turning the bolts. Now, I have an impact drill, so we just went through and just went ahead and took them off. And then we went ahead and we had to plug the tire. So we didn't change it all the way off. We just had to plug it and then put it back. He's not really rough with his hands or anything, so it was kind of like, you got to jam it in there. So we didn't get it the first time, but we went back out there the second time, and we pretty much did it again. I kind of showed him, helped him follow instructions. But the primary part of the lesson was not to know how to plug the tire. But in the event you have to change a tire, you know what you're doing. So that's the kind of route that we went. We even changed the tire. Not change the tire. We even changed the oil on the car. And we had to get real. We had to get dirty with that too. And I had to tell him, like, look, you're going to have to get up under the car. Like, I had like the little jack stand. You could just ride up the jack stands. I didn't have to ride up the jack stands because I didn't want to drive over them. So I put up on the jack stand. I was like, hey, get up under here. You're going to put this oil pan right here. Going to crack it. Once it cracks, then you're going to twist it with your finger a little bit until that oil start coming out. As soon as it start coming out, line that drip pan up, let it go. Then you put this new oil in here. Now, normally, what I told him was also do oil treatment. Now, when I learned how to change oil, I was told, hey, put your oil treatment in there every time you change your oil. Now, let me tell you, for as long as I've been changing my oil myself, I got a better performance outside of my vehicle when I use oil treatment versus when I didn't use any at all. It just felt like the ride was smoother, everything. And that's something that I had learned from one of my father figures. And he was like, your car's gonna run longer if you do an oil treatment there every time. I was like, that's a good idea. But I started going to like the little shops on a corner, and I would just let them change my oil because I don't change oil in the winter. I don't work on my cars in the winter time. So it was convenient just to go there, have them change the oil. And it just didn't feel right. Maybe it's because I didn't change it myself or somebody else changed it, but I didn't get the same performance or feel that I got when I changed it. So, but father figures are definitely beneficial, and showing you and teach you certain things. But now we have like Google and we have YouTube. So at any point in time, you want to just start learning, You can always just look online. That's why I don't understand why this post is relevant. I think the moral or the main point of this post is like just open father wound. I'm just kind of curious on what kind of occurred between you and your father, or what kind of occurred where the father wasn't there, or what was the whole dynamic that this open father wound is there, because obviously there's some healing that needs to go on in this situation and some forgiveness, and maybe it should just start with forgiving. But you don't have to replicate the same problems with your sons as with your father. And that's kind of what it sounds like, as I read further on, is that there's some issues that had occurred with them family circumstances along with the father that you feel like you still have to heal from, but you out there, you have kids and you have these sons and you don't want to replicate none of the issues. So a few things you can do. One, you should go on YouTube, and whatever you want to learn, you can learn off of YouTube. Two, you need to go out there and heal. Whatever this open father wound is, you should definitely heal from it. I don't think that there's any impact that you can have on your kids because of what your father did. Now, the great thing about that is that you have a blueprint on what not to do that your father did. So whatever your father did, you just don't do it. You do something different. Now, I'll be one to tell you that I was guilty of doing or practicing some of the stuff that my dad practiced. Now, granted, I didn't have my father 100% in my life, but for the times that I do remember that he was around, he had some, I'm not going to say toxic traits, but he had some traits that I just didn't agree with in my generation and raising my son. And, raising my son's generation, rather, because their generation's a little different. I didn't really agree with the punishments and agree with the whoopings. I've done it. I've done some punishments, I've done some whoopings, but I also realized that I wasn't getting anywhere with it and I had to try something different. But my dad, on the other hand, his opinion was that, whoop their ass, fuck them up. They'll get the picture, and it's like, it doesn't really work that like that 100%. So there's a lot of things that occurred while growing up I wouldn't take and apply it to raising my son. If that makes sense. I wouldn't apply any of the things that how I was raised. Like, my dad wasn't there. So that's the first trait that I realized is I know I had to be there for my son, because I know the way that I was raised, I came out well, but I still believe that there was a lot more room for improvement. If my dad would have invested in my dream to be a basketball player, because he asked me what I wanted to do in my life, I said I want to be a basketball player. And my dad wasn't overly enthusiastic about me being a basketball player. He was just kind of like, well, if you can do it, go ahead and do it. There was no, okay, well, let's go to the basketball court, show me what you got. Okay, show me this, show me that. I think there was a few times we was at the basketball court, and we had that basketball time. Like, we had some basketball time in my adult years, and I was excited about it. Honestly, like, I felt like a kid. Like, man, I get to play basketball with my old man and everything. But and those are the things that we cherish the most, the stuff that we missed out on when we were a kid. It's almost a joke to know that, like, something so small, like, hey, come and watch my basketball game, and you like 35 years old playing in the adult league, like, oh, come watch my basketball game, and your whole mindset is like, oh yeah, my dad about to come watch me play, and I'm gonna get some pointers and everything. Whether you faced with disappointment, whether they show up or not, it's still important to you. And just think about it. It's like, man, that's crazy, because I think about the time that he did come and see one of my games and everything, and he was telling me about my game. Kind of went in on me too, like, oh, you think you could play and shit like that? And it's like, all right, bro, like, that's cool, all right, give me shit. You gonna give me shit? Fine, give me shit. But those are things I learned not to do. Now, I don't give my son shit. I try to help him and promote him. He in robotics. So I tell him, like, hey, if you're going to be in robotics, he helping build and transport and move. He like to support in gas. And I'm like, well, why don't you go in there and, hey, tell me you want to be the shooter, for the robotics. So you want to be the arms and the legs for the robotics. You're like, well, somebody already doing that. I'm like, well, don't think that you can't do it. Just know that you can do it. So there's a lot of things that we can do that we don't have to be our parents. So you have these strategies. I know I can't give you like 2 strategies, but you have these strategies that you can use in order to be an effective parent. You don't have to do what your father did, or if your father wasn't around. As long as you be there for your son, your kids, you invest in your kids' dreams. Whatever their dreams are, invest in them. Cultivate that talent. There's a lot of people that's not cultivating that talent or forcing their kids to do something that they don't want to do. I don't believe in forcing my kid to do something they don't want to do. I don't believe in making them finish it. If you want to try it, okay, we can try it. But I'm always going to do a temp check and just ask, hey, how is it going? How are you feeling about it? Do you want to continue doing it? And they'll be like, no, I want to continue doing it. Or, yeah, I want to continue doing it. It's like, cool. I want to see your determination to complete it. I'm going to guide you as best I can, but I want to see your determination to say, hey, I want to keep going. I want to finish what I started. Because the more you push a kid into doing something, the more they're going to regret it, or they're going to hate you for it. And I don't want to be on the end of that. Once you become like 25, 30, like, oh, I wanted to do the drums and, you put me out of the drums. Like, I was a kid, I didn't know what I wanted. And I'm like, well, you wanted to play them. And you played them. Then you got tired of playing them because you couldn't play the music that you wanted to play. It's a give and take. I'm not going to sit here and waste my money on put you in something that you're not going to want to do, or you're going to hate doing after a few months. That's not fair to me and my finances. And it's not fair to you so far as time-wise, because you could spend that time doing something else. My son wanted to go into computer programming. I bought him programming books. I put him in classes that taught computer programming. He has the little bit of knowledge to know about computer programming. So if he did go to college or in high school decide to go into a class about computer programming, he'll know, or at least have an idea of what they're talking about when they had a conversation. So there's a lot of things that you can do that as a father now, you don't have to do what your parent did. You already have the blueprint of what not to do. Now you just go from there and you just build on that, and just know that whatever you lacked in the past, you give your kids 2 times more of what you lacked. So if you lacked attention, you give them more attention. If you lack the money to provide them, if it was a lack of money for you to have opportunities, you make sure you have the money to give them opportunities. You make sure you invest in them. You encourage them. If you wasn't able to go to college, then you put money to the side so you can invest in the futures for them to go to college. One of the best things you can possibly do right now, and I'm not sure how old these kids are, but one of the best things you can do, and I would tell anybody that's just having kids, is to set aside some money and put it in the S&P 500. You take that money, you put it in the S&P 500, and you just keep putting money in there every so often and let it grow. And as that money grows, once they turn like 18, 20, 21 or whatever is in there, let them have it. And they can do whatever they want with it. They can keep it in there and keep letting it grow until they turn 25. They can use it to get a car. They can use it to pay for their education. If they get married and have a baby, they can use it to buy their first house. Whatever they want to do is there for them. It's accessible. That's the important part. It's so much easier now to invest, open up an account, and put it in your kid's name at whatever age. If they under the age of 5, because you got 18 years. So that's the best time to just start putting that money in there. So whatever they decide they want to do in the future, they have the money to do it. And that's just being financially responsible. If you can do it, outside of everything else, if you can do that, let that be the optional topic to do, the optional active activity to do. So if you can do it, cool. If you can't, no hard feelings, but just be there, invest, time, invest in their dreams, and you already had a blueprint. So that's my piece. That's my piece. All right, this is MMG. This is Farewell, Mr. Nice Guy. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at FarewellMNG. You can go ahead and send us an email at FarewellMNG. No, not Farewell. At FarewellMrNiceGuy@gmail.com. Also, don't forget, send us a voice link. We'd love to hear what your opinions and your thoughts are of this episode. Peace.